like to thank God for giving me this opportunity. About approximately 4 years ago, maybe 5, in Celebrate Recovery, an old friend of mine, Ron Spurgeon, showed up. And I didn't know it was him, and he didn't know I was who I was until after the first meeting. And then approximately 5 meetings later, he corners me at the door and he says, I want you to come give a message at my church. And I said, you're crazy. Not me, you know. I'm still, and always will be, a broken sinner. But God has a funny way of playing jokes on people. That Saturday, I had to take my daughter to the state archery tournament. And on the way down, God gave me a story to tell to start that message off with. And I'd like to share that with you right now. There was a village that prospered. Each villager had their own garden. They tended it daily with faith in God. Their gardens grew in abundance. Then one day a stranger came in to the village. He talked to the first villager he saw, and he convinced him he had worked hard enough. So the villager sat back and didn't tend to his garden. His neighbor saw him and did the same, and so on, until none of the villagers were tending their gardens. God saw this and decided they weren't being faithful any longer, so he stopped the rain, and soon all the gardens died, and all the extra food the villagers put back began to be used up. The villagers began to grumble and complain. There was an old man that was the first villager at the village, said to the others, why do you complain? What do you expect? You quit doing your part by tending your gardens, so you got what you deserve. We must be faithful, and God will be faithful and bless us. This angered the villagers, so the old man went home. That night he prayed to God to show him his part in all of this. God answered his prayer and told him in the morning, rise up and tend your garden. Plant the first thing you see. So he rose the next morning, walked outside, and the first thing he saw was a tiny rock. Without thinking, he picked it up and planted it. He went to the well that was dried up, dipped his bucket in it, and the young lad saw him and said, old man, what are you doing? What's going on? I think these are mixed up. What are you doing? There is no water. The old man just smiled and said, I tend to my garden and God will provide. The old man went back to his home. The lad followed him, and as the old man dumped the empty bucket on the rock he planted, the earth became wet. The lad was amazed and said, so what did you plant, old man? The old man replied, a rock, son. The lad laughed and said, you're crazy, old man. Rocks don't grow. The old man smiled and said, wait and see. God will provide. The young lad went and told the other villagers what was going on, and they all thought the old man had lost his mind. But the lad went out every day and watched as day by day the rock grew and grew. The old man tilled around the rock, pulled the grass and the weeds, and watered the rock with an empty bucket every day. They went back every day to report, the lad went back every day to report to the villagers what was going on. Soon, one by one, the villagers went out and saw the rock getting bigger and bigger. Finally, the old man told them, go home, tend to your garden, be faithful to God. Come back tomorrow and we will see a miracle. They all said, why? We have nothing to plant. Do as I said, replied the old man. God will provide. So they went home and did as they were told. The next morning the villagers returned, and as soon as the last villager arrived, the old man walked out his door and the rock burst. with vegetables enough to feed everyone and seeds for all their gardens. The old man said to them, "Never doubt, do your part, be faithful, and God will provide." With that, I'd like to go to Genesis. Maybe. Okay, here we go. Genesis 2:8. Now the Lord had planted in the east in Eden, and there he put man he had formed. Genesis 2:15. The Lord took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. Now you may ask, how do we take care of our gardens? First, by accepting the responsibility, by reading God's Word daily. There we find the nourishment to strengthen our faith. Second, by praying for enlightenment and understanding of God's Word. This is the watering of our souls. Third, by testifying of the truth of God. By telling others about His love and faithfulness, and that He sent His only Son, Jesus Christ, to die for our sins and raised Him from the grave. Let's go to Matthew 13, 31 and 32. Well, I got that wrong. There is no 31 in Matthew. Okay, well, anyway, I'm new at this, so bear with me. Matthew 15:8. Every plant that my Heavenly Father has not planted shall be rooted up. You see, we are God's garden. Eden was His first garden, and it was the most magnificent. It was the greatest thing God ever did, until He decided to make mankind. The Heavenly Father put us in that garden to be gardeners, but at the same time, He made us to be a garden. God is the greatest gardener, and we are just a minor garden. To tend your garden, we must believe we are God's garden. We are made in God's image. Not that we look like Him, for no man knows what God looks like. But in His image to become more like Him in righteousness and holiness. This is an ongoing process, like a garden. It's a growing process that we need to deal with every day. And Jesus said, "I am the vine and you are the branches, pruned and tended by the Father in order to bear much fruit." How can we cultivate a positive outlook on life? It's only possible with an attitude of gratitude. You know, in John 20:15, Mary was outside the tomb weeping. And Jesus asked her, "Woman, why are you crying? Who is it you are looking for?" Thinking He was the gardener, when of course, He is the gardener. He is God. Jesus used parables of gardens, growing things all the time. The sower, the mustard tree, good soil, rocky soil. These are all things we need to keep in our heart and keep in our mind. For we are that soil. We are that rocky ground. But if we keep our faith in the Lord, He tills us and prunes us and makes us better. You know, He's done a miracle in my life and in all kinds of people's life in Celebrate Recovery. I see people that have struggled with addictions, and faithfulness to their spouses and things like that. And He's brought them all back. He's restored marriages. He's restored lives. But we can become chaffed if we let it happen. If we stand back and just let the world take us over. So I recommend that you stay in the Word every day. Be in prayer continually. Simple things as, Lord, thank you. I didn't hit my thumb with that hammer. You know, thank you for the food I eat. And when you get mad, and you're mad at God, it's okay. Tell Him. Don't be afraid to tell Him. He already knows it anyway. You know, we get angry. We get hurt. We blame Him for things. I know I have. But I also know that the things that I blamed Him for worst were things that were meant for my good. And I can look back and appreciate, like when my mother passed, I had a year with her before she just suddenly died of cancer. And I was mad at God. I started taking up, I got divorced 3 months later to a woman that I absolutely praised. I put her on a pedestal, and she was my whole world. And when those two ladies left me, I was mad at God. I become a meth addict and was stuck in that for 20 years. But in the last 6 years, I can look back on my life and see how many times He has blessed me, and He has opened up my eyes. You know, I was blind, but now I see. I see clearly. I love Jesus with all my heart. So when you're in doubt, you're in fear, we have no excuses anymore. We have phones that when you're in that doubt or fear, you can just pick up that phone and say, what verse do I need to look at, Lord? That's the only thing about Google I really like. You know, it prepares me for the day. When I go into my Bible and read His Word, I recommend that you find 10 things in your life you can give Him thanks for before you even hit the floor. Take the time to read His Bible every day. By show of hands, I'd like to see how many people would, if I was able, which I'm not, but if I was able to give you $1,440 every day for the rest of your life, would you spend $20 on me? A show of hands. That's all God asks. He gives us 1,440 minutes every day. 20 minutes. I mean, most of us spend more than 20 minutes on our phone. And it's a crying shame. I seen a video of New York City one day, and the zombie apocalypse is walking in streets. Millions of people walking around with their phone in their hand. Nobody communicates anymore. Nobody talks. The phone it has its good purposes, you know, but it's also evil. It just depends on how you use it. That's pretty much my message. I went off kilter. I didn't follow my nose. I followed my heart. The Lord tells us, as a group of people, we are to watch over each other, look over each other. The older women are to guide the younger women. The older men are to guide the younger men. And the elders are to come together when we have sick and ailing. and go out, lay hands on them, anoint them with oil, and pray over them. And I just found out that our elders did that here recently. And John told me that was the first time in 30 years they had ever done that. Now, I don't know that to be true, but that's what the man said to me. And I just think we need more of that. So in light of that, today, Ed's going to end us in prayer. I would like us all together back in the opening and hold hands as he ends us in prayer. We do this every Friday night, and it strengthens the men to no end. We are becoming an army for the Lord, and it's amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. And the only other thing I could say, if he puts something on your heart, do it. Don't say no, and don't question it. Just do it. The blessing will abound. He promises an abundant life, and that life is joy, peace, serenity. You know, when you turn it over, there's nothing he won't do for us. With that, I'd like the band to come up, and hopefully I can remember how this song goes. I was struggling with it this morning.